Yes, so as Alex said, I'm here to talk about whether candidate testing is still a thing. So I'm going to start with a bit of nostalgia, which Alex, you've already touched on, and ask if anyone can remember what they were doing in 1994. So quite scarily, that's 25 years ago. So if you think it was fairly recent in the 90s, it wasn't. And the theme for that is it's when ISV was created. So, and it may be that you're watching one of these films, A Shawshank Redemption or Four Weddings, or listening to some banging tunes by Wigfield. But if you did a recruitment test, it would have been on a big old PC like that.
That's our computer that we have.
There you go. So it would have been on a big boxy computer, probably in the corner of an office, doing an Excel test or doing a data entry test, something like that. So what has changed since the 90s? Well, like a lot of us, I think probably we've all changed shape. Recruitment has changed shape. We've weathered the storm a few times. But essentially, we're still having a lot of the same challenges. We're still trying to find candidates who have the right skills for the job. We're trying to find people that can do what they say they can do. So candidate testing is more important than ever, particularly in a really candidate-short market at the moment. And there's actually a financial value to it. So, of course, getting the cost of hiring right versus the cost of getting it wrong. If you look at the cost of a bad hire, so the REC published some research just last year, which was said it was over 3 times salary. So this image is based on somebody earning mid-level, probably about 40K. So we have a duty as recruiters to get it right. Now, I don't know if you can probably see this, but it comes up on the next slide. But when asking about what happened with your last hire when you got it wrong, why was that? So asking people why their last permanent hire didn't work out, the second most popular answer at 30% was that skills and performance checks weren't carried out. So actually, as recruiters, it's a chance that we are cutting corners when we could be doing something different. So we've talked about setting ourselves apart. And there's loads of choice in the market. So you can choose whatever suits the job role and what suits the seniority. So it will vary depending on what you're recruiting for. It might be a skills-based test, ideal for volume recruitment. Why you might use candidate testing at all. So imagine you're working in volume recruitment. You've got 200 plus candidates applying for every role. How on earth do you shortlist them? How do you verify that skill level? How do you reduce any bias that you've got? We've talked about unconscious bias. And there is some science behind it because we are all biased to some degree, whether we're aware of it or not. So we're all making judgments on a regular basis. And it can be just down to something as simple as face shape. So some more research from psychologists, and you may have seen these kind of e-fits on things like Crime Watch and thought, yeah, they look like a bit of a wrong 'un. So somebody who perhaps the guy on your left, who has very deep set features, has heavy inset eyes, is deemed as being less trustworthy. Whereas somebody like the chap on my left, who has a more open face, more open features, are we all looking around the room now to see who looks like one of these people? So by looking at something like that, using testing helps you be a lot more objective. It helps you take the blinkers off and you can truly look. You can do anonymized testing to make sure you are looking truly for the skills, the knowledge, the attitude, or perhaps the working preferences for the job in question. One thing I'm asked on a regular basis is, can you cheat a recruitment test? And the simple answer is yes, you can. So if a candidate really wants to cheat a test, particularly if they're doing it remotely, they can. But there are ways you can guard against it. So quite simply, just getting people to take a test in your branch or office so you can actually see they're doing that. Asking for some feedback on the exercises to kind of prove they've done that. And looking out for perfect scores. So if someone seems too good to be true, there is a chance they may well be. Are there any golden rules in candidate testing? There are. So nobody can pass or fail a psychometric assessment. You can't do well in it because what works for one role will not necessarily work for another. How should you use testing? So to promote inclusivity, essentially to solidify the relationships you're having with your clients, whether that's the hiring manager or your end client, and to find the perfect match so that basically your end users are saying thank you. A quick success story. So by using testing, one of our clients introduced it. They've completely redefined their hiring criteria by introducing testing. They've broadened their pool of talent, which means they've reduced attrition by over 15% globally. So if you want to chat to me about testing or what you were doing in 1994, then those are my details. Come and grab me afterwards.
Thank you very much.